Hey everyone, and welcome back to Black Iron Athletics. My name is Mike Manning, and today we are covering the snatch. The snatch is a full body movement that has so many benefits, but it's one of the hardest lifts to master. So this one doesn't click right away. Give it some time, because it takes a little while before it actually starts feeling somewhat natural. But stick with me, I promise this video will help. Now, because the snatch is a full body movement, we don't work one particular set of muscles. It is a combination of the back, hamstrings, shoulders, quads, core, among other things. For the snatch in particular, we will work from the top down. This is the best way to learn the snatch properly, and it's crucial that we follow the sequence, so don't skip ahead. First, we will set up with the feet about hip to shoulder width and the grip wide, sitting at the crease of the hip. Start by bending the knees, loading the quads, and here, you're ready to launch the body vertically. The first drill out of this position is extensions. Extend the body upwards, getting the bar as far from the ground as possible without bending the arms. Always extend before you bend, super important. Now, after we learn to extend, we're going to learn to pull. From here, always make sure I reach full extension before I pull. In my pull, I'm gonna lead with the elbows high and the knuckles low, keeping the bar as close to the body as possible. Now that we've learned the pull, we need to figure out where the bar will end. So keep the snatch grip, bring the bar behind the neck, load the elbows underneath, and start with a strict press. Press the bar straight overhead and keep the balance over the middle of the foot. Start with a strict press of the PVC pipe before moving on to the barbell. From here, work on a jump, punch, and land. This will mimic you receiving the bar after you pull. And now once you're comfortable receiving the bar overhead from behind the neck, it's time to bring it back to the hip. Next, we're gonna work on turning over. So I'm gonna start by bringing that PVC up the top of my high pull, top of my toes, and turn over, getting that bar straight over where we were from behind the neck. Still working on dropping onto the bar to receive. Now we're gonna put it all together. We're gonna start by extending, pulling, turn over, and land. Keep it simple. This is called a high hang power snatch. Now it is a high hang because we're starting from the hip, working that launch position. So it's above the knee and high in the hip. It is a power snatch because we're receiving above parallel instead of squatting down. Now again, don't skip ahead. This is the most important part of the entire video, is learning this sequence. Getting that right is gonna make everything else below easy, but that timing is everything, super important, so spend some time here to get it right. Now, once you've got this feeling light and snappy, feeling good with the PVC and empty barbell, it's time to go down to our second position, which is at the knee. Now, starting off with the hip, we're going to bend, then push the hips back, lowering down to the knee. Here, my back is flat, my shins are vertical, and my hamstrings are loaded. And the goal, no matter what position you start in, is always to get to that launch position. This is the only position we can actually take off from and have good timing when it comes to snatching. So spend some time working on that transition. Once you've got the transition from the knee to the hip, feeling good and consistent, it's time to take the bar down to the floor. Now that we're taking the bar from the floor, it's super important we get a good setup here. So just like the second position at the knee, our back is nice and flat, but we're now allowing those knees to come forward and bend a little bit more. This will help keep the balance and allow me to drive off the floor up into that second position at the knee. And a quick tip to make sure you have a good setup is take a video from the side and see if you can find this triangle. The armpit, back of the knee, and the crease of the hip should all come together to make that triangle, with the crease of the hip being halfway between the armpit and the back of the knee. That's how we can ensure your setup is not too low or not too high. From here, we will initiate that first pull off of the floor. It's like a leg press more than a deadlift, driving the floor away and the knees back to load into that second position at the knee. Back is flat, shins are vertical, and hamstring is loaded. Once you're feeling more confident in the transition from the floor into that second position, work on then scooping up to the third to find that launch position before you pull. Really important that we get every single position right, accurate, and feeling good before we start to add speed, weight, and try to put it all together. With a good foundation of each position, it's now time to drill the transitions and the proper timing of the launch, which is at the hip. Spend some time to get that right, and the rest of the lift's gonna come together for you. Once you're feeling comfortable with the power snatch, it's time to explore receiving lower into your squat. As long as you have a good overhead squat, this should always yield a higher potential on what you're able to lift. This is called a squat snatch or just a snatch. And now again, make sure you're feeling comfortable in the overhead squat itself and the power snatch before trying to explore that squat snatch. Work on them both separately and it'll come together a lot easier in the end. Now remember, this movement takes a lifetime to master, so don't expect it to come together quick. Take your time and be patient with yourself. For my beginners, spend some time above the knee. Don't rush to get below the knee, take the bar from the floor. I promise this will make all the difference in the long run. Also, stick with that power snatch. Don't start exploring the squat snatch until you're super ready, super confident in the overhead squat and the power snatch itself. Now, if you have some experience, but you are stuck at a certain weight, here are some of the most common faults and how to fix them. Now, the number one is not getting full extension, either at the hip or at the knee before you pull. Super common, and here's how to fix it. And one of my favorite cues to fix that lack of extension is just by simply getting the torso out of the way. If I get the torso out of the way, it will guarantee I get full extension. If we look at the torso as an obstacle on the path of the bar to travel vertically, it's a lot easier of a concept when you're pulling to just think about getting the shoulders behind the bar before I pull. So think about that next time you're lifting and see if it helps. It's also super helpful to work from the hang and make sure you're getting that full extension. So either from that high hang at the hip or from the knee, always really good drills to work to improve your extension. Now, number two is timing the early pull. See it all the time, and sometimes fixing that hip extension will work its way into the timing itself, but not always. So here's how to fix it. Now, my recommendation here is again to work from the hang, but more specifically that high hang. We talked about that launch position being the most important position because this is where we learn timing of where the hips hand off to the arms. So if you're pulling early, spend some time in that high hang and see if you can get the timing right before exploring down to the knee or down to the floor. And now number three is not receiving low enough or not getting under the bar. This one's another very common fault, and here's how to fix it. So one of the drills I like for this is the tall snatch. So I'm gonna start from the hip, squeeze my butt, get on the ball of the foot, and then just work on pulling under. This is huge for building speed and working on that third pull to get down and around the bar. The second drill I like here is the snatch balance or drop snatch. So working from behind the neck and receiving that barbell, getting confidence under the weight you're stuck at or beyond will help make it a lot easier to actually pull under with that confidence. Knowing I can receive into that squat if I need to definitely goes a long way when it comes to committing to those reps that we're stuck at. Now, other than the snatch balance, you can also work a drop snatch, just similar to that tall snatch, but from behind the neck. I'm fully extended on the toes and I'm just pressing myself below the bar, trying not to get that bar elevated, but working on getting down instead. Now, thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe. Now, if you have any questions that I didn't cover in this video, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to connect with you guys and answer any questions you have. And if you are ever in Frisco, Texas, come see me at Black Iron Athletics.